Trinidad and Tobago's oil company free to resume terminations after a court-ordered injunction is lifted. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, October 11th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. State-owned oil company Petrotrin has won a court battle to lift an injunction that prevented it from terminating employees as it moves towards shutting down operations by the end of the month. Justice of Appeal Charmaine Pemberton ruled in the company's favor around 11:30 on a Wednesday night following a marathon hearing that featured submissions from attorneys representing Petrotrin, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, OWTU, which had been granted the injunction. Petrotrin's lawyers had filed 15 grounds in appealing the injunction, which was granted earlier this week by the Industrial Court, pending the hearing and determination of an industrial relations offense over the company's alleged failure to meet with the OWTU in good faith before making the decision to close the company at the end of November and send home more than 5,000 workers. Petrotrin claimed the industrial court had no jurisdiction to act as the industrial relations offense complaint filed by the union is a criminal offense that does not lend itself to injunctive relief. Petrotrin also claimed that the industrial court erred when it ruled the company had a duty to consult with the union. The lifting of the injunction lasts until next Thursday, when the substantive appeal over the actual granting of the injunction comes up for hearing before a 3-judge appeal court panel. Until that matter is ventilated, Petrotrin is free to resume distributing termination packages to workers. Before the injunction put a pause on that, about 300 employees had received theirs. Meantime, the hearing of the industrial relations offense against Petrotrin is scheduled for October 30th to November 1st. Meantime, a former general secretary of the OWTU says the lifting of the injunction did not mean the end of the road for Petrotrin employees. David Abdullah, who is leader of the Movement for Social Justice, has therefore urged the employees to remain optimistic.
It doesn't mean to say that people will, be terminated as of today or tomorrow. That can't happen. But I suppose the company will pursue sending out letters. But as I say, that is not the end of the legal matters. There are still several other legal matters to take place in both the Court of Appeal, because I believe the full Court of Appeal meets next week, and then, of course, back to the Industrial Court at the end of the month.
Jamaica's Norman Manley International Airport, the NMIA, has been divested and is being operated by a Mexican entity following the signing of a deal with government on Wednesday. Under the 25-year concession agreement, it will be responsible for improving the airport's land and air operational efficiency and financing and completing a modernization program at an estimated cost of $110 million. It also has the option to extend the arrangement by an additional 5 years. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has defended the public-private sector partnership, saying it will help bolster economic growth. TVJ's Herman Green reports.
The Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, now under new management. The new management? Grupo Aeroportuario del Pacífico, GAP of Mexico. According to the Development Bank of Jamaica, GAP won the bidding process ahead of 3 other bidders and was subsequently approved by the cabinet last month. For Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the entity's experience speaks volumes.
GAP is no stranger to the airport business. My understanding is that you would now have 12 international airports under your management. This would be number 13. Number 14, well, there you go. Some of them you have 50-year concessions. So it is important that the Jamaican public understands that the people who will be managing the airports are airport specialists.
One important note, however, of the 13 international airports managed by GAP, 12 are in their home country, Mexico. The 13th is Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James. So what does this new partnership mean for Jamaica? Government ministers say Jamaicans can now expect major infrastructural improvements as well as financial gains.
Now we will be able to expand the runway of the airport. An infrastructure investment that the government itself could not undertake.
The government of Jamaica will receive a guaranteed percentage of the gross revenues earned at Norman Manley.
Mr. Holness also pointed to another benefit, offloading the operational risk a government agency would face in trying to run a major airport.
An agency could run into problems. It could run up debt. And ultimately, who would be responsible for that? It's you, the people of Jamaica. Which we have seen happen with several public enterprises. Again, because government sometimes are not the best people to provide some of the services that these enterprises are providing.
Under the agreement, there is an option to extend the partnership by 5 years after the initial 25 years have elapsed. But what if GAP fails to deliver on their side of the deal?
The government will follow the legal process and the regulatory process to enforce.
Still in Jamaica, the opposition People's National Party is calling for firearm licensing authority workers and board members who breached guidelines relating to issuing gun licenses to face charges. It was revealed on Tuesday at a meeting of Parliament's Internal and External Affairs Committee that gun license applications had been approved by board members before proper background checks were done by police. The committee was also told that some FLA workers were collecting money illegally, and there was direct interaction between those staffers and board members. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson says there needs to be immediate action by the police and the Director of Public Prosecutions.
We don't know where those guns would have ended up, whether they ended up in criminal hands or not. And there's a need for an investigation to determine who should be held accountable for the actions which were outlined at the Internal and External Affairs Committee by the CEO of the FLA, Shane Dallin. It's a very serious breach because we are trying to fight crime. And if the agency that has responsibility for issuing licenses in a transparent manner is breaching it in this way, then it is cause for grave concern.
The Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency started an investigation into irregularities at the FLA in 2017, but there has been no word on the outcome of that probe. Robinson is demanding Prime Minister Andrew Holness hold former National Security Minister Robert Montague accountable for the irregularities at the FLA.
You have a case where the former minister had led a board which clearly breached a number of procedures in terms of the issuing of licenses. Some of those persons who were on the board then have been appointed to other boards in senior capacities, and nobody has been held to account for the actions of that board. At least there should have been no new appointments of these persons until investigations were complete. And even though the former minister is no longer in that portfolio, some action should be taken against him because he was the one who oversaw and had responsibility for the FLA at the time these breaches took place.
Several companies in the United States and Canada have expressed an interest in starting medical marijuana projects in St. Lucia, where it is still illegal to cultivate the plant. Chairman of St. Lucia's cannabis movement, Andre de Caries, made the revelation on Thursday, saying that 5 investors, 4 of them from Canada and 1 from the United States, have personally contacted him. He said one of them wants to plant 2,000 acres of marijuana on the island. De Caries said the cannabis movement has been trying to organize a meeting with Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for commerce, industry, investment, enterprise development and consumer affairs, Bradley Felix, as well as the National Security Minister and the Attorney General to discuss the matter. But he expressed concern that St. Lucia could miss the boat because it's yet to decriminalize marijuana. Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, a Canadian firm set to take over the Caribbean's largest independent fuel marketer. We'll tell you who the players are and what the deal entails after the break.
Well, I want to welcome people to Dominica, obviously, the World Creole Music Festival, 19th edition. We weren't able to stage it last year because of Tropical Erica, but the just resounding, interest from people coming in. A lot of people coming into Dominica, and we want to welcome you here.
I'm Clayton Crawford. I'm a traffic manager at China Harbor, but I'm also a social media personality. You know, the Dragon and the Bear and Mr. China and the British Monkey. You know, that's been going pretty well for me so far. When the World Cup started, with people like say for instance, we train for Brazil. I'll be making fun of Brazil with a Spanish accent or making fun of Mexico with a British accent, and everybody fell in love with the different accents and characters or animojis.
Welcome back. Canada's largest independent marketers of fuel and petroleum products has purchased a majority stake in Barbados-based Sol Investments Limited, SIL. Parkland Fuel Corporation announced Wednesday that it has entered an agreement to acquire 75% of SIL, which is the largest independent fuel marketer in the Caribbean. We get the details in this CBC TV8 news report.
Parkland Fuel Corporation, known as Canada's largest and one of North America's fastest growing independent marketers of fuel and petroleum products and a leading convenience store operator, has acquired a 75% stake in Salt Investments Limited, or SIL, in what is being described as a business combination agreement. The transaction will result in Parkland acquiring 75% of the issued and outstanding shares in the capital of SIL for a total consideration of US $1.21 billion, plus customary post-closing adjustments on a cash-free and debt-free basis. Meanwhile, Sol Limited will acquire 12.16 million common shares in the capital of Parkland as part of the deal. Commenting on the agreement, founder of Sol Limited, Sir Kiffin Simpson, said he was exceptionally pleased with the agreement. He said it will ensure an exciting and dynamic future for everyone. Sir Kiffin added that he has been tremendously impressed with Parkland's president and CEO, Bob Espy's strong leadership, along with his exceptional management team. Among some of the other key highlights of the deal, Parkland now has the addition of stable earnings from 526 retail stations in the Caribbean. It also provides an opportunity to roll out Parkland's private label, loyalty, and enhanced food offer. It positions Parkland to access supply at scale in the U.S. Gulf Coast, creating future growth opportunities and supply advantage in the U.S. Gulf and Atlantic coast for Parkland USA. Meanwhile, the Sol operating brands will remain in place in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean, and the Sol business will retain key management and continue to be managed from the Caribbean. Also, as part of the deal, the remaining 25% of the shares outstanding in SIL are subject to the minority purchase or sale right. Parkland may elect to acquire those shares, or Sol Limited may elect to sell the remaining shares in the capital of SIL.
As World Mental Health Week is observed, Guyana is focusing on the causes of suicide and its prevention. Suicide is said to be the second leading cause of death among young people globally. And what's alarming in Guyana is the prevalence of young people attempting to take their own lives. We get more in this HGP Nightly News Report.
Global statistics have established that depression is the third leading cause of mental illness and that suicide is the second leading cause of death among the 15 to 29 age group. But suicide in Guyana, according to the World Health Organization, is a disagreeable situation. Here's Public Health Minister Valda Lawrence on the subject.
In 2017, in the 15 to 19 age group, the rate was 29.3 per 100,000. In the 20 to 24 range, it was 39.5 per 100,000. And in the 25 to 29 range, it is 36.5 per 100,000. With an overall rate of 24.6 per 100,000.
Minister Lawrence during the feature address at the World Mental Health Day activities at UG Turkine campus on Wednesday. Minister Lawrence stated that this signals a lamentable negative and a deterrent to Guyana's overall national development, since the country is losing its most important resources, human resources, specifically youths, who are so critical to the sustainability of the nation.
In those communities, whenever an incident of suicide occurs, the loss of lives impacts significantly on the social fabric of the community, leaving indelible trauma and empty chairs and rooms, not only for the suffering families, but for the entire community. I say to you, we can ill afford to bear this high cost of precious lives.
She explained that the mental health unit of her ministry, cognizant that depression is the leading cause of mental illnesses, with issues of self-harming, that is, cutting oneself, and alcohol and substance abuse contributing significantly, the unit is seeking to target secondary school students in a more connected manner.
The intent is to train teachers in the first quarter of 2019 to recognize mental behavioral disorders, so that they will be better positioned to identify students who may have mental health issues. In this way, they will be referred and support would be provided by a core of health professionals that will include doctors trained in mental health, social workers, and personnel from the mental health unit.
Minister Lawrence urged that all must be involved in a campaign of support and coordinated action to stop this trend of suicidal tendencies among young people.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies team impacted by the recent resignation of head coach Stuart Law. We'll be right back.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Before the hurricane, protect your windows. Permanent shutters are the best protection. A low-cost approach is to put up plywood panels.
Dominica's World Creole Music Festival in 2018, October 26, 27, 28 at the Windsor Park Stadium in the capital city, Roseau. 3 nights, over 8 genres, 40 years of independence, one location, Dominica, the 20th edition of Dominica's World Creole Music Festival. For more information, like our Facebook page, Dominica Festivals. Visit our website, www.dominicafestivals.com for all travel, accommodation, and ticketing details. My love, my home, my Dominica. Building a resilient nation. See you there! Proudly sponsored by the Government of Dominica and Discover Dominica Authority.
Porque yo te quiero para mí.
J Balvin, no hablar mucho. Deja que el beat siga rompiendo.
Continuing with sports now, West Indies captain Jason Holder has admitted that the regional team has been negatively affected by the recent resignation of head coach Stuart Law. Speaking ahead of the second test match against India, which begins on Friday, Holder said, quote, "It's difficult. We have had a number of coaches in the last 5 years, and I must commend the guys because they have really been professional to be able to adjust to each and every coach that we've had. That's why I don't get too caught up with people saying what they say, because I know what really goes on within the dynamics of the team. It's not an excuse or looking for things to ease pressure, but at the end of the day, you deal with reality." End quote. Law submitted his resignation last month, and his tenure will end following the tours of India and then Bangladesh in November. The Australian had taken over from Phil Simmons, who was sacked in September 2016 on disciplinary grounds. Holder thanked Law for his efforts during his time as Windies head coach, saying that he had been instrumental in bringing about some changes in West Indies cricket. USA Cricket's spinning duo of Nathusha Kenji and Timel Patel bamboozled the Leeward Islands Hurricanes batsmen to record a shock victory in their regional Super 50 contest at Kensington Oval on Wednesday. In a stunning batting collapse, the Hurricanes lost their last 6 wickets for just 19 runs as USA recorded their first win of the competition. Man of the match Kenji claimed 3 wickets and Patel accounted for 2 as USA dismissed the Hurricanes for just 109, 88 runs short of their intended target. Earlier in their turn at the crease, several USA batsmen got starts but failed to carry on. Patel led the way with a knock of 39, which came from 80 balls, but Monank Patel with 27, Stephen Taylor with 22, and Alex Amsterdam, who made 21, all made useful contributions. Leg spinner Damian Jacobs was the pick of the Hurricanes bowlers with 3 for 40 from 10 overs, while Cornwall, Jeremiah Louis, and Chesney Hughes supported with 2 wickets apiece. Over to netball now, where Jamaica's Sunshine Girls made a clean sweep in their 2-match series against arch-rivals Trinidad and Tobago. TNT had lost to Jamaica 61-40 in the first game on Sunday and were crushed 51 goals to 40 on Tuesday. TVJ's Trishana McGowan has the details in this report.
Slow off the mark again were the Sunshine Girls in their final game on Tuesday. But with 10 goals less than Sunday, they registered a 51-40 win to come out victorious against Trinidad and Tobago. The goal circle saw a bit of missed goals and bad movement, but Shanice Beckford still managed to top score for Jamaica with 29 goals from 36 attempts. Beckford was assisted by goal shooters Christina Harwood with 9 goals from 14 attempts and Chantel Slater 13 from 16. Head coach Marvet Anderson now has 2 wins to her name, so how is she feeling about her team's overall performance?
I'm very comfortable. I'm heartened. Persons stood out. They embraced the roles that they were asked to play. We played 1 shooter short today, but we still were able to score 51 goals, so I'm happy with the performance.
The team will now turn their attention to face Commonwealth Games champion England in a 3-match test series starting Thursday. With a day to recover, Coach Anderson believes our team will be ready for the challenge.
I think it's going to be different on Thursday. It's going to be a high-intensity game. The ladies know that, so they know from the very first whistle that they have to go out strong and hard. And I think they will be ready for Thursday.
Finally, questions are now being raised about whether proper procedures were followed after the death of veteran Jamaican jockey Vasil Najir following a freak accident at Caymanas Park a few weeks ago. We hear more from TVJ's Denise Walters.
The 65-year-old Najir died on Monday, 12 days after he was struck down by the horse Perfect Asset, who had escaped from gate attendants while the loading up process was going on for race number 6 on the 10-race card on September 26 at Caymanas Park. He was rushed to the Spanish Town Hospital and later transferred to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he underwent surgery to remove pressure on the brain. Calls are now being made for an investigation to be launched into the unfortunate incident, while several pertinent questions are being asked in relation to the tragedy.
A major concern, because what we want here is to preserve life. And as you can see, the medical team was stabilizing the jockey who had bravely tried to corral this horse, and he got injured with his head hitting on the concrete surface, which caused a lot of blood to be spilled at the same time. So you would have the ambulance come in and be as close to him as possible to minimize the journey, to put him on a stretcher and to get him into the ambulance. When the ambulance had to move to allow the horses to come back to the unsaddled enclosure, I thought that was an error. I thought that is part that has to come out in investigation.
Veteran sports medicine specialist, racing personality and columnist Dr. Paul Wright is also questioning why the promoting company Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited, SVREL, doesn't have an agreement with the 2 major public hospitals.
We have trauma hospitals. We have the Kingston Public Hospital, the major trauma hospital in the island, and we have the university that have the necessary equipment, magnetic resonance imaging, CT scan, and so on. And therefore, I think that an arrangement must be made with those tertiary institutions to accept these ambulances when they come as a matter of priority. And then you don't have to go to a peripheral hospital, then having transferred to the major hospital. I think that we need to have that sorted out.
Meanwhile, TVJ Sports also caught up with the general manager for racetrack operations at SVRL, Anthony Shakir, and asked him about the protocol in place to govern incidents like the one which occurred 2 weeks ago.
Procedures, we always have 2 ambulances on site and our medical staff, and any injury to jockey or member of the public, the doctor in charge and the ambulance, they take charge of the situation.
Shakir also responded to the statement made by Natalie Niger, the daughter of Vassal, about the delay in taking her father to the Kingston Public Hospital.
For head injuries, you normally have to stabilize a patient first. You can't just pick up the patient when he has if you watch Premier League, you'll see the procedure as well. When there's head injury to any of the players, the doctors always go on and they take time before they put them on the stretcher and move them. You have to stabilize the patient first.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Have you heard about the Karaoke Corn Festival? Well, here's your chance to know more about it. You are invited to experience an exciting blend of food and music at the Karaoke Corn Festival, which explores a variety of ways corn is prepared for eating. Activities also include a local string band and steel band music, quadrille dance performances, domino competition, and much more to keep everyone entertained. Whether your taste buds tingle towards cornbread, corn soup, or the ever-popular roast corn,
Luggage is over with. How much I must pay?
No, you can't do it like that. You'll have to take some of the things out of the suitcases and put in a box or something.
You know, you're a wicked woman. A wicked fat woman.
Do you want a box, sir?
Box, me know? You think so you're helping me strike me? Try a box.
Barbados, it's time to laugh again. Get yourselves ready for the Caribbean's funniest men and women. Fast Promotions Annual Caribbean Comedy Explosion. Saturday, October 27th, Sir Garfield Sobers Gymnasium, 8 p.m. Get your early bird tickets now and pay $60 before all are sold out at ticketlinks.com. All Ticket Links outlets nationwide. Jeans Inc. Sheraton, CS Pharmacy, Rubis Wildy, and Eddie Supermarket Spikestown.
I come in here as a loner. I know you spot me from far.
Again, the major developments of this day: Trinidad and Tobago's oil company free to resume terminations after a court-ordered injunction is lifted. And in sport, West Indies captain Jason Holder admits the regional team has been negatively affected by the resignation of head coach Stuart Law. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, log on to CanonNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.